Approximately 150,000 babies are born with a common blood disorder known as the sickle cell anemia. Now, between 70 to 90% of these babies don't even get to adolescent age before they pass on, while the ones who are surviving it today live with stigma or fear of the unknown. However, we have quite a number of them who are warriors and are fighting hard against this disorder that many people tend not to have a cure aside from a bone marrow transplant. My name is Amina Atairu, and you're welcome to the Amina Atairu Show. We highlight and treat issues that affect the society. Joining me on the show today is a beautiful warrior queen who has fought and is still fighting the sickle cell anemia and its stigma and everything that comes with it. At a point in time, she said, I had no motive to actually move on because of this sickle cell anemia. But again, we're going to be exploring her life to see how she has fared and how she even managed to become a queen. Joining me is Alice Ebika Olohu. How are you?
I'm doing okay, ma'am. It's so amazing seated here on your show, really.
I'm glad to have you too.
Thank you so much.
Even with all the stress that we've gone through today.
It's nothing. I mean, you should always expect one or two disappointments in life or some setbacks. It's okay. That doesn't mean that you're not doing great or you're not doing amazing in whatever you're doing.
You already sound like a motivational speaker. I mean, so tell me, this whole sickle cell anemia. I know about sickle cell. I would say quite a number of Nigerians also know about it, but yet there's still this, stigma. There's still this fear associated with them. Would you want to take us through, a bit of your journey or experience, as we call it?
Sickle cell anemia. You're right about Nigerians knowing about sickle cell in quotes, but however, are not doing the right thing with it. By saying the right thing, I mean like they get to meet people who live with sickle cell anemia. They know quite well that sickle cell anemia is a blood disorder that is being inherited from both parents, yet they're stigmatized. And it is so sad because they're stigmatized not just adults, but even children still growing up. Imagine how it is if every child out there is being given a hate speech or is being told by every other person they meet in the society daily that they cannot amount to anything. I mean, in quotes, they say sickler, which is a very wrong term to call anyone. I mean, it's just like every other person out there who have different other health conditions, and then you name them or you label them with that health condition. It doesn't make any sense.
Now, you are in your 20s.
Yes.
And I mean, you're in your service right now.
Yes, NYC.
NYC. She's going to be rounding up, by the way. So we're throwing her into the labor market, and all. But at what age did you realize that you had this disorder?
I have a very loving parents. They are the most supportive people I have in my life, aside my friends and every other person that God has blessed me with in this journey that I am on currently. My parents, growing up, I recall that I have always been, would I say pampered, but I just know that I'm a very special child because my parents made me feel so. My mom would always tell me, when you go to school, ensure you don't play rough, don't do this, don't jump, don't engage in so many strenuous activities. She always imbibed that sense into me to know that, okay, the way your body is, the way your health is, always stay hydrated, avoid strenuous activities, don't do too much that it will stress you up. So I always had that notion that, okay, this body of mine, or what I say, this life of mine, I'm a special kind of person. Then when I officially knew what exactly I have or what exactly the health condition was the year I was to be admitted into secondary school. That was when I knew. And sadly, I found out in a very bad way.
Tell me about that.
In Nigeria, we have, because I attended a federal government college, so federal government colleges and I think government schools, they do it. So when you're being admitted, they ask you to go for health checkup,
yes.
Get your medical statistics and all of that. So I and my mom, we had gone to this very good laboratory that was recommended by the pediatrician that took care of me as a kid. Then, after the blood test, we were seated just like every other person would sit waiting for their test because we stay at Anambra State.
Okay.
So the lab technician came out and in a very demeaning manner, she said in Igbo, Madam, Madam give Sickle.
Oh. Wow.
It means, Madam, do you know that your child is a Sickle?
Just like that.
Just like that.
And
My mom was calm, but she had this anger building up in her, and she didn't want to say anything that would be too harsh. She just said, give me. The lady placed the envelope, and we left. That was my very first experience of, okay, what I have is sickle cell.
at what age were you at that time?
I got admitted to secondary school at quite a very young age. That was 9.
9.
Yes, I was 9.
And so after the result was handed over to your mom, what happened next?
We went home and my mom was trying to let me know that do I remember that she has always put it in my head that I'm a very special kid and I have to take care of myself. I shouldn't mind whatever happened at the laboratory and whatever the person said, that I am not a sickler. I mean, this is something she has always been doing right from when I was growing up. So that day was not like a new thing, but she just had to make sure that she encouraged me so much more that day to know that something like this may occur as you keep growing up in life, but don't let it get to you. Don't let people define you because you are my child. And you that I'm seeing seated right here, you're very special. You have so many potentials inside of you. And I wouldn't want whatever people outside tell you to get to you. I mean, my parents are very supportive. Unlike, I know that there are so many warriors out there. There are so many people who live with sickle cell that sadly, they don't find themselves in a very supportive environment. I mean, there are so many parents who gave birth to children living with sickle cell. I mean, this was all their fault, but yet, instead of them supporting their child, they turn against or start not giving that child opportunities to grow well, not trying to at least be the safe place for that child, because we know that out there it is really not okay. It is harsh for so many people living with sickle cell. And I just want to say this, that my heart goes out to every warrior out there who don't find themselves in a very supportive environment. I see you, I hear you, and I'm here with you.
Great. Now, I read some of your, your write-ups where you pointed that there was a time where they took you to more like a gathering, or I don't want to call it a school now, where they had other people that were also living with, special children, that also had this disorder, and you were not comfortable, being there. At what age did that actually happen, and why did you think you were taken there in the first place?
That was, I think I was already 10 or 11 because I had the most crisis when I was a teenager. My parents did that because as at then I was, how would I even say, I was quite drifting. I was no longer the agile, smart child that I was when I was still very much younger. Like
and that was
7,
because
6. I think what happened was I got exposed more to the society, in the sense of I attended a boarding school.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
My school is a boarding school. So most times when I come back for holiday, I'm withdrawn. I'm always inside the house, either sleeping or just being on my own, not wanting to engage in activities and all of that. So my parents spoke with some people and they were like, oh, there's a sickle cell club at the teaching hospital. I think you should take her there. Maybe she can get to learn 1 or 2 about herself. Yeah, we did go, but let me not say what would be used against me, but the truth is, as a growing-up child, what I wanted was a positive environment. Not just going to somewhere that I see people who, I mean, we all know that sickle cell comes with so many complications. And sadly, when we went to the sickle cell club, I think I was one of the youngest people there.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we didn't really have children there. They were mostly adults, young adults then. And sadly, they were in a condition, sickle cell gave them some kind of conditions that it wasn't really looking encouraging for me to be in that space. Instead, it even instilled more fear on me. I would say that was actually one of the inspiration that made me say, okay, when I grew up to a certain level, I would like to be a face of motivation for the younger ones living with sickle cell, because I lacked that. We all know that every child in Nigeria gets on the TV and they see someone speaking and they say, oh yes, I want to be like this person. What I really yearned for while growing up was, let's say someone should just stand on the TV and say, I'm a medical doctor, and I can let you know that I live with sickle cell, but it did not define me. I am who I am today because I never let sickle cell define me. I never let whatever tribulations that I encountered in sickle cell. So I am standing here to let the younger ones know that you can be whoever you want to be, notwithstanding that you live with sickle cell. I yearned for that kind of positive message so much. I mean, I yearned for it so much because everywhere I go, left, right, people are having their own notion, sickle cell. There was only a time in school, that was even when I was grown past secondary school, because my parents rented an off-campus lodge for me. The landlord made a statement one day and said, you're actually very lucky that you have parents who believe in you. Because I know that normally there are people who have, he put it in the word, normally I know that there are people who have sicklers as children and they wouldn't even bother themselves to train them in school. They won't even bother themselves to even try to see that they can be something tomorrow. Like, he said it in a way that it wasn't encouraging. He said it in a way that, okay, it's even a favor that your parents are even taking the stress of putting you in school, because who knows what will happen tomorrow. That was the tone that he used to pass that message.
You know, before we even get, to when you got into the university and all, still your secondary school days. I mean, you were not a day student, so you stayed in the hostel and all. How was that? How did that shape in you? Especially, we know what is happening now in Nigeria, where a lot of people don't want their words to attend boarding houses anymore because of the whole bullying and all that. How was your experience, in your secondary school?
It was tough, because every other person out there who attended a federal government college can testify that it is like a battlefield. And the year I was being admitted was one of those years when you still have people who are full-breasted. I mean, teenagers who are already like blown in SS3, SS2, SS1. So we that were even admitted in GS1, we are still like looking very little to them. I mean, these are people who are looking so huge and big as your seniors. It was tough. Life in the boarding hostels was like a whole different thing. It was like as if when I'm in the boarding hostel, it's like as if I'm in a cage or I'm in a prison. Because you have seniors who not just only bully, but they try to name or label any junior students that they don't like, in quotes, or maybe they feel like this person is like a waste. I mean, I had people who named me Ongu. Ongu in Igbo language means death.
Are you serious?
And that was in my boarding school.
And your teachers were aware of this?
So we all know that in a boarding school, we have, let's say, at least 700 girls in the girls' hostel, and the boys' hostel, maybe also 700 or even more. I mean, there's so many students, there's so many children in the boarding house, and each house has its own house mistress. Collectively, they have senior boarding house mistress or senior boarding house master, and then we have matron. Matron is the person who stays close to those houses where the students stay. At a point, I complained, I kind of like made a statement to the matron, who later became my guardian, that see what I'm going through in the hostel. I'm passing through stress. Most seniors are either calling me Ongu or labeling me or stuff like that. She had to talk to them, but you know one thing about teenagers growing up, they have this act of bullying. They can easily bully any other child that is younger than them. It was still there, because most of them will say, if I touch you now, you will just faint. Let me just leave you.
Wow.
So it was tough. So going through all of those things, and then coming back home during holidays, I was always so tired. Either I'm sleeping, or I'm yawning uncontrollable, or I'm just withdrawn totally.
Did you complain to your parents at all?
I did.
And they still left you in the boarding house?
I wouldn't say they still left me, but let's say, you know that, I mean, I'm a Roman Catholic, and my parents have this very strong, stubborn faith, which is actually okay. So my dad's reasoning was like, it's a very good school, and the truth is, as at then, there were few good secondary schools. It was just recently that good secondary schools
started
dominating, and a federal government college.
You're like the rich man's premium
I
child.
wouldn't say premium, but when I got admitted, I was actually one of the only 2 pupils who passed the examinations and got the admission. So imagine such a wonderful opportunity being thrown. So what my parents were always doing was encouraging me. You know what, you can do it. Just keep going. Because I mean, even if I myself too, even if they want to withdraw me, to which school? Like, even as at that age, I could understand that I can't even find any good school, even as at where we were living as at then. I couldn't find any good school that was okay, this is the school I'll be going to. Because most of them, when I come back for holiday, I see most of my peers, most of my age mates who attended school. Intellectually, they were not really
where you are.
Yes, where I am, and the kind of things they teach and all of that. So even me myself, I just had to make sure that, okay, you know what, I have to keep pushing myself. I mean, the warrior in me was already working. I have to keep pushing myself to endure. It was worse in my JSS1 to JSS3 days. But when I got to SS1, it was a bit better because, I mean, you're now a senior. You don't really have much people ahead of you who would throw you around or bully you. So I started getting myself better in SS1, SS3, and SS3, and I did it.
And all through that, were you always, visiting, your doctors?
Yeah.
Or were they always visiting even while you were in school or what?
We had a sick bay, but sickle cell is actually something that you really need a specialist who you always see. So what my parents did back then was every holiday, I always went to see my pediatrician who would do some regular checkup, check everything in me, my PCV and all of that, to know if I'm okay before I go back to school. And we have routine medications, so I was always taking the routine medications, and I was avoiding as much as I could the stress that I can avoid. But however, crisis would always come up. Like, I remember there was this very serious one that happened. They had to call my parents because my parents stay in a different state and the school was in a different state. My parents had to travel as early as they could to come to my school to pick me up because the crisis was so serious. I couldn't walk. You know how crisis can be.
Your bones, numb.
Yes, your bones are painful. You can't even make the step that you should as how a human being should walk. They had to come and get me from there. They took me to the hospital. That was when the period that I took some of my exams in the sick bay. Yeah.
Oh wow, you did?
Yes, some of my exams were taken in our school sick bay.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. This is you're actually a warrior. I mean, because you're seated here with me, and you can't remember. You're wearing our khaki and all that. So I mean,
serving Nigeria with all my strength and might.
Amazing. So I mean, let's fast forward to university days where they say people now become adults, and of course people start to have relationships, and all that. How was it like for you, really?
Okay, going into the university, just like I said, I went into the secondary school quite young, and I left secondary school quite young too. However, I didn't gain admission the same year that I left. So let's say I was ready when I got admitted. I was 17, 18. That was when I got admitted. So I personally had always told myself that, you know what, as I'm going to school, I'm going for studies. I'm going to do whatever I have to do. And of course, my mom would always, advise me what to do and what not to do. And as I was growing up, they always say that there's something about sickle cell. Mm-hmm. When you keep growing up, you get to know your body better, you get to know yourself. And for the fact that you're always researching or meeting professionals who would always advise you what to do in order to stay fit medically and health-wise and all of that. So I really put it in my mind that whatever I'm going to do or whatever I am doing, I should not in any way compromise my health and all of that. Yeah, being an adult, a woman growing up, looking all beautiful, and I mean, I still do. What am I even saying? Like
You're beautiful.
Thank you. You're beautiful as well.
Thank you.
I mean, there would always be the opposite sex who would want to look into your way and all of that and all of that. But what I always do is anyone who looks into my way, because before then I had not started the advocacy.
Okay.
Yes, so even looking at me, most of them say looking at me, they can't tell. But what I always do is anyone I meet or anyone like, what's your genotype? I'm SS.
You always ask them.
Because I mean, you never can tell where you will even meet your husband or where you meet your significant other. So I always make that mandatory. So I don't enter something that at long run it's not beneficial to any one of us. So I always talk about it. What's your genotype? Mine is this. But surprisingly, the thing is, because I know most people, most warriors, we get to meet people who demean us, people who make us feel less of ourselves. But surprisingly, I didn't, or I have not met anyone like that who would say because you're SS,
Oh,
I
great.
can't be with you or that. And I don't know why, but it has always been like that.
You're special. You're blessed. Of course.
We all are special in our own
Yes.
different ways. So I don't really know why it has been like that. So talking about relationships, people would always walk up to you, but at the end of the day, they can't even meet up.
Tell me your standards are high.
No, it's not about standard. I mean, if you want to be with a girl who has a special health condition, at least emotionally, mentally, psychologically, you yourself should be fit enough, so that in times when she can't really be herself, you can be her support system.
And have you had that?
Yes, I've had that. I have that actually.
You have that. Oh, great.
It's a very beautiful thing if you're a warrior and you get to have, even if it's not someone who you are romantically involved with,
yes.
at least have that special person in your life who you can always talk to when either sickle cell is happening or when life is getting so hard for you to enjoy alone.
So do you think that, I mean, being a special child living with sickle cell anemia has also favored you, placed you in a part of favor when it comes to either getting jobs done or getting picked over your peers? I mean, you're currently serving, and I saw that you won a pageant.
Yes.
Recently. And even though I saw your work, and I mean, I saw the way you were working, and I'm like, damn, you got it. But what did you think, stood you out?
I don't think, I wouldn't say sickle cell favors me. I would say the way I carry it. Because there's one thing for you to have this, something that is always discouraging, or something that would always stand as a stumbling block in your life, but the way you try to move the block and say, get out, you're not important, I have to do what I have to do. I think that is what has been carrying me so far. And talking about jobs, when I go for interviews, I do well, I get picked. When it gets to the HR talking about stuff, I always make sure that I say it, this is my health condition, so that in case of some kind of job roles or tasks where you have to stay overnight, or trying to avoid in a situation where I'll put in a corner that I wouldn't know how to do it well. I mean, in as much as I am hardworking, one thing with sickle cell is not overdoing.
Can you say overdoing? Overdoing what? What are those strain? What are those things that you have to avoid? And what are the symptoms really of being a sickle cell?
Personally, for me, mental stress weighs me faster than physical stress. So I try to take things a step at a time. Just try to, we are moving. It's a continuous process, and not just packing everything at once and doing it at once. So personally, it's mental stress for me. And for some other warriors, I mean, for so many of us, it also includes physical stress, not like like someone telling you come and carry this thing, and you're going to go and carry and all of that. There are some things you have to, avoid yourself from doing.
So you can't carry heavy, you can carry move chairs, move furniture around.
Yes, not too heavy stuffs and all. Because while growing up, my parents, because I have 4 younger brothers who are my sweethearts. My parents would always make sure that they are the ones doing those heavy, strenuous activities of either fetching water up the stairs or doing all those things that I have to, pool and all of that. So I got used to the system of, no matter what happens, try to find the soft way.
You're a man, your business. If you're a woman, it's still your business. But if you have questions concerning the happenings in the country and want them answered, now that's my business. On the Amina Atairu show, we get all your questions the right answers. In life, they always say there's nothing as important as having a supportive partner, parents, friends, and relatives, especially when you have one form of challenge or the other. We're still talking about sickle cell anemia and how people can live through it, grow old with it, and even become grandmothers and grandfathers, where they say that there is no cure except for a bone marrow transplant. A lot of people are fighting to survive this, and with a beautiful smile on your face. I still have Ebika with me in the studio here, a warrior queen, as we all now call her, talking about this ailment. Now, we know that there is no cure for sickle cell anemia, but there's the option of bone marrow transplant. Yeah. Have you thought about going through that route?
The truth is, I have never thought of it, and I don't know if I will think of it in the future. This is because I believe that I am already living well with it. Because I'm not trying to be spiritual here, but just like I said, I come from a very strong faith-based family. I personally believe that I have had my own kind of healing living with sickle cell. I mean, sickle cell it's tough. No matter how many times it has tried to take me down, I always bounce back. I always do bounce back. I just have this notion, I just have this mentality that my genotype does not have to change from SS to AA for me to have a better or beautiful life. So with that mentality, with that positive mindset of mine, I can take anything, I can take up any role, I can do whatever I have to do in life. I don't really believe that I have to change my genotype or I have to go through any form of treatments in order to have a better life, because aside sickle cell, there are people out there who are not living with sickle cell and they also have their other challenges in life. I believe personally that living life better is living positively. Whatever it says you have, live with it, but live positively with it. If treatment comes, fine. If treatment doesn't come, I believe that I am fully bodied, I am fully strong, I am ready to take up on whatever task that my future brings.
What about children? We know that research has that, a sickle cell parent, having maybe the mother or the father, there's a possibility that one of the child or sibling, there is a possibility that one of their offspring would also be have that special condition. Have you ever thought, beyond just you, but looking more into, okay, when I have kids and all?
When I have kids?
Yes.
Okay, when I am ready to get married, or when I find that special one, or when that special one locates me, of course, I would make sure that, I go well in line with the genotype compatibility aspects, because as a person living with sickle cell with the genotype SS, I am more compatible with one who is of the AA genotype. So we are going to start with that. Getting married to someone with AA, I stand with no chance of having a child with SS.
Oh,
I would only have a child with sickle cell traits, which is AS. When you're AS or AC, you have the sickle cell traits. That doesn't mean that you have sickle cell. That means that if you get married or have a child with someone who is also of AS or who has the sickle cell trait, then that's when you guys can, maybe it can happen that your
One
S gets to join with S and it's SS. So that is it. And thinking about beyond me, yes, I do. I do a whole lot. Because just like I say that growing up with sickle cell, I had little to no motivation of people who would stand there and tell me that you live with sickle cell, but it doesn't define you. I'm doing better. I'm with sickle cell, I'm doing great. So yes, having this in mind, after, I wouldn't say after, but when I was close to graduation in school, that was when I really took advocacy serious. I started taking it serious because as I was growing up, I started to see more and more younger children born with sickle cell who their parents either are not educated on the proper ways to care for these children, or they are being stigmatized by their peers and all of that. So I got motivated to say, you know what, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this thing I've always told myself I want to do as a child. I'm ready to be a face of motivation to the younger ones. So what I do with my advocacy, the Warrior Queen Initiative, I visit secondary schools to talk about sickle cell, educate teachers, schools on the proper ways that they can care and correlate and nurture these special health children living with sickle cell. I try as much as possible in my capability that I try to motivate the younger ones that they shouldn't listen to negativity. I mean, there's always a positivity living with sickle cell. I mean, we have the oldest living with sickle cell was 97 or so.
97, yes.
Yes, before she died, that was 2020 or 2029 or 2019
19.
per se. I mean, there's a lot of positivity. There's a lot of, how do I even say it? You can achieve as much as you want to achieve with sickle cell, and I really want it to sink into the younger one's head. They shouldn't let the society, or they shouldn't let people who don't really understand the sickle cell let them know that they cannot achieve anything in life. They can. I mean, my hope is that as I keep growing up, the younger ones need to be informed that sickle cell is not a death sentence. I mean, the oldest person who lived in Nigeria with sickle cell, in the person of Mrs. Aishat Onikoyi, sadly we lost her in 2020 at the age of 95.
Yes.
We all know that, leaving sickle cell aside, attaining such an age in this modern time is often difficult. So imagine someone living with sickle cell and she attains such age. So why not we keep projecting these positive aspects and letting the younger ones who live with sickle cell know that sickle cell is not a death sentence, and they can live to their full potential. They can become whoever they want to be. I mean, this is the main reason why I am here. This is the main reason why I have taken it upon myself that no matter what I'm doing, even as I'm indulging in my pageant world, competing in pageants, I would always mention that positive aspects to the younger ones. That with sickle cell, they can be whoever they want to be. They can take on their dreams just as their friends, just as their classmates. They shouldn't let negativity get to them.
Great. So how can people be part of your advocacy?
We often, anytime we want to go for school tours, because right now we are kind of focused on the school tours, because we need to ensure that in as much as we do the online advocacy, my self-advocacy, which is living my life and letting people know that you can be whoever we want to be aside sickle cell. We also take on school tours. We visit secondary schools in Nigeria. So whenever it is time, or when we have a school scheduled to visit any month, we always put it up, and then volunteers come in, and that is how we do here.
I read some of your excerpts on Instagram, and I realized that there are some of your write-ups that were written from a place of pain, where you said you were feeling a kind of way. Of course, people wouldn't understand what you were feeling and all that. Do you mind sharing the kind of pain that is experienced and the other symptoms, especially for people who are not aware, and they are maybe your friends or friends of people who are living with this, special disorder, and they didn't know that that was what it was? Do you mind sharing how tough or how bad it can be?
Sickle cell comes with a very intense pain that is most times undescribable. Like, even if you try to say this is how it hurts, you really can't fully describe it, because truly it is undescribable. The pains comes in a way that you know that your body hurts, but you cannot pinpoint where exactly this hurt is coming from. And the most annoying part of it is, no matter how well you take care of yourself, no matter how well you get hydrated, no matter how well you avoid stress, sickle cell will always come and say, hello, in a very annoying way. So most times, even when you think that, oh, you've been taking care of yourself so well, like I know that most times these symptoms, the crisis comes up personally for me at night when I'm all stressed. You can just be sleeping. I mean, you went to bed healthy, you went to bed strong, and you're waking up. But the main reason why you're waking up is you start feeling this very intense pain. I mean, I remember when I was way younger, I would always wake up with this cry, shout in my room, and my parents would just have to rush and get me. Talking about the cry and shout, aside the very intense crisis I had in secondary school, I also had one very serious one while I was in the higher institution. My parents had to drive, although my higher institution was in the same states my parents live. Okay. My parents had to drive from the town that we live to my school as late as 3 a.m. in the morning. They got to my campus, where I was living off campus, as at 5 a.m. So sickle cell can just come in the middle of the night, can just come anywhere. You could just be doing, like maybe typing in the office or doing everything just like every other person, and you just start feeling this very intense pain that you just cannot help but shout or scream. It is that tough, very tough. Most times when it doesn't come in pains, it comes in the eyes. Either that your eyes start feeling, you just feel like as if blood is circulating in your eyes or something. Sometimes it comes with an abdominal pain that gets so intense. And sometimes it comes in, the doctors call it hemolyzing, when your urine gets either red or to yellow and all. That is, your red blood cells is breaking down rapidly. You know, our red blood cells do not survive like every other person. Yeah. It breaks down as quick as it is. So when it happens, it's called hemolyzing. The doctors call it, are you hemolyzing? It seems you're hemolyzing and all of that. So sickle cell has its own trying moments. That's why I try to advocate and I try to encourage my warriors, people like me, that yes, when it comes, let it flow. Go through the process. Once you get back to yourself, follow life, do your passion, do what you have to do.
Not everybody can endure. You know, some people say people have a shock absorber, while some people don't have a pain receptor.
Right.
Some people don't have, you know, that, especially if you're growing around parents who don't even understand what you have. Yes. Some people will take it as a banje.
Yes.
Some will call it, you know, it's one evil thing.
Yes, sadly. And that is why when we started the show, I just had to first give my heart out to the other warriors out there who find themselves in an environment that is not so supportive, because I've seen these cases. I know so well that there are these warriors who find themselves in an unsupportive environment. You see parents who, even if people try to tell them that this is what you should not do, this is what you should do for your child, they still go the other way. I mean, we have parents who try to force traditional medicines that are not even clinically proven safe, force it down the throat of their child who lives with sickle cell, and most times they end up having more complications that they would have normally. And one thing with sickle cell is, in as much as all of us, I mean, people who live with sickle cell, somehow we kind of differ. Not the same pain reliever that works for me may be able to work for this person.
Oh, really?
Yes, actually. The pains differ that way. So most times we get to know the one that works better for us and tell our doctor. That is, if you relocate to a new place or you have a new doctor, the doctor would have to ask your medical history, what you've taken so far, which one do you react to, which one is best for you, and all of that.
Great. Now, in your own case, was there ever a time where they had to start taking you to church, you know, and kabashing and all those, you know, things that would always happen to young lads?
No. In as much as my parents are so, I mean, we have so much faith. We are Roman Catholics, all of that. My parents are not ignorant. Would I say ignorant, but my parents have never ever tried to expose me to that kind of danger, because I call it danger because most times what all these people do is you're indirectly pushing fear to that person. I remember there was this year that a secondary school classmate who I had not spoken to in years inboxed me through our WhatsApp group. And what she started doing was, she started sending me prayer links, just like that.
Just like that.
Just like that. Join in, you will be healed. Join. And I was like, if I really wanted to talk to her the way I wanted to talk to her, I would have said a lot of things that I wouldn't like to say to another person. But I let everything die down when she noticed that I was not giving her a response. That was when we had to talk through it, and I told her, I don't like it. You are indirectly pushing fear to me. And there are so many people out there who do it to parents of children living with sickle cell and to people living with sickle cell. Someone you don't even know from anywhere will just enter your inbox and send you prayer link, or go to this church, they're having miracle, they're doing this one, they will heal. To me, you are indirectly insulting God.
Well, isn't that also a way of telling you that, I mean, with prayers you can also get healing? Or
of course. And just like I said earlier on, there are different types of healing. My genotype does not have to move from SS to AA for me to believe that I'm healed, or for me to know that I'm healed. Living in Lagos alone is a stress. And I've been doing it for the past 2 years without my parents. I believe in me, even before I even came to Lagos, that I am healed. Like, I live with sickle cell, yes, but it does not define me. And the truth is that I do a lot of things that on a normal day, even doctors will be like, how are you able to go through this stress? So, I mean, healing comes in different manners. And most times, you may not even know what that other person you're sending to, those links to have done. I mean, we pray to God. Nigeria is like a very religious environment. Even if you're not a Christian, you're a Muslim and all of that. We all talk to our Chi, we talk to our God. We pray about our life. So you're indirectly doing all those things. You're indirectly pushing fear to those parents and exposing them to some kind of dangers, to all these pastors out there and to all these people out there who just come out and say, I can do this. Meanwhile, I mean, we all know the dangers that they expose themselves to.
I totally agree. Now, what are your pattern words? What is that thing that you want to say to that parent, that child who is currently undergoing so much pain right now and wanting to give up? What is your word to that child?
Dear child warrior, my name is Ebika Olusho. I live with sickle cell just like you. But sickle cell does not live with me, neither is sickle cell in me. I live with sickle cell and not for sickle cell. I need you to mark this. You live with sickle cell. I mean, sickle cell may be your kind of red blood cells, but it is not your life. It is not, you don't live for it. Try as much as possible not to let it define you. Crisis will come. Yes, it does. Unexpectedly. All I want you to do is go through it with faith. Go through it with your warrior mindset. I mean, we are warriors, right? Go through your warrior mindset. Push through life. All of those things you want to achieve, go for them. Go for them. I'm a food scientist. I study Chinese Mandarin language. I've gone for beauty pageants. I'm currently in a beauty pageant right now that I'm contesting for to become the Nigerian queen. And I believe that I can. And I want you to have that same faith in you, that whatever you put your mind into, you can achieve it. Dear warrior, I see you. I am with you. I am for you. And to all parents or caregivers of warriors out there, I just want to say kudos. You guys are our MVPs in our life. You are our angels on earth. Continue doing what you're doing for us. I mean, I can't even thank you all enough. And I just want to encourage you to keep having that faith you're having on your sickle cell warrior child. Anyone around you, your friends who live with sickle cell, continue to encourage them. Continue to be the best support system you can be to them. Thank you very much. Signing out.
Oh my God, I was tearing up just listening to you. And yes, you can. You are a warrior. We are all warriors.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ebika, for
Thank you so much.
Taking us through your world. And kudos to being the next Nigerian queen.
Amen.
All right, guys. Yes, we have been talking to Ebika. She's taking us through her fight, her struggles. don't even want to say her fears, because right now is about her future. Learning to have a purposeful life and living beyond it. You don't just have a sickle cell. It lives with you. You are the landlord. So it's how you house it.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
The landlord can actually keep the tenants.
Yes.
You know, or keep the tenants whenever
As much
they
as you want to.
But they would always stress you. I mean, tenants, we are stressed.
Yeah.
They're stressful people. But you can't do without your tenants for now. So, but thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
Do well. You want to be part of our advocacy, you can always DM me or DM Ebika. Her handle is there displayed on the screen right now. If you want to be part of our advocacy and what she's doing, if you also have questions that you like to ask her, you can, you know, send your DM. You can also DM myself, you know, if you want to reach her. And don't forget to subscribe. Click on the subscribe button there to be part of the show. Thank you so much for always doing this. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
And of course, let's do this again next time. It's the Amina Atairu show. Bye-bye.